Mario and Luigi Superstar Saga, Mario and Luigi Partners in Time, Mario and Luigi Bowser's Inside Story. I don't care what you say, these are three of the best RPGs ever released. And I think the best games that were released on the Game Boy Advance and DS. All three of these games have great combat, are delightfully charming, and have some of the best story I've ever seen in any Mario game. And I'm about to explain to you why. Mario & Luigi Superstar Saga is like the genesis of all these great ideas that made this franchise amazing. The writing is amazing, the combat's amazing, and this is some of the best pixel art I've ever seen on the Game Boy Advance. Let's start with the writing though. What actually happens in this game? Well, it's just a normal night's day in the Mushroom Kingdom, and Peach is meeting an ambassador in her throne room from the Bean Kingdom. But all is not as it seems, because the gift of goodwill that the ambassador brings is actually an acid attack, which melts Peach's face off, and reveals himself to be this crazy fucking guy, who seemingly has rainbow powers. And then they fly away in their crazy airship? I really actually don't know what this is supposed to be. And I know what you're thinking. Where are the Mario brothers? Well, Luigi's hanging up his frickin' laundry because I guess they don't have washing machines in the Mushroom Kingdom. And one of Peach's advisors comes running to them for help. And he also totally sees Mario's dick. He totally sees it. And that either scars him for life or makes him ask a lot of questions. And then Mario pounds his skull in because he walked in on him in the bathroom. And the only thing he can say before the blood fills his eyes is Princess Peach. And so then Mario is on the case. He also ties up Luigi for no reason. Like this little funny thing that he does. And they arrive in the throne room to see that Bowser is there. He frickin' throws his own brother into the back of Bowser. There's spikes on that shell. He should be dead. But then a little scuffle ensues in which Bowser has a stroke or maybe a heart attack, I don't know. He is on the floor after though. But Bowser is not actually the threat. There's a bigger problem at hand. It turns out the acid didn't melt her face off, it just stole her voice, which is strange. And now Peach possesses, quote, a explosive vocabulary. And Bowser's pissed because he can't kidnap her in this state. She'll wreck his castle. Glad you're keeping your priorities straight, Bowser. So Mario and Bowser actually team up to try to get back Peach's voice. But not before picking up their sick-ass luggage. Also, Luigi doesn't even plan on going. He's like, I'm not going. I got all this laundry to do. But Bowser basically forcibly drafts him. It's completely a misunderstanding. He's just waving too hard to Mario. I also like how Bowser doesn't know Luigi's name. So Luigi tries to dodge the draft, basically, and for trying to do that, they kidnap him with a giant hand, which is pretty terrifying, and Luigi's pissed about this. So you gotta change that title. Mario and Luigi Superstar Saga? Nah, more like Mario and the Unwilling Participant Superstar Saga. Mario realizes that he left his passport in another castle, and he's about to cross national borders. So Koopa doctors up some. And I don't really know why they're even bothering with passports, given the fact the Bean Kingdom's committed a terrorist attack on the Mushroom Kingdom, but whatever. So they both get their picture taken. Sadly, Luigi accidentally closed his eyes during the photo, but you know, what are you gonna do? You can't take two pictures. Things go suddenly awry when the Phalanx Grandpa shoots down your plane over the border. And you think that Mario and Luigi plummet to their death. But of course, they're okay. And granted, some people did die. Look, he's dead. That's all I'm gonna say about the story. If that piques your interest, I would suggest very heavily going and playing it. You can get your hands on the game by, you could get the cartridge or you could do other things. Now on to the combat. There's actually a lot to cover here. Let's talk about what happens before you even get into an encounter. There are three possible ways that you can enter an encounter with an enemy. You could just walk into him, starting the battle like normal, get what's called a first strike either by jumping on the head of the enemy or hitting them with a hammer, which will make you do a little bit of damage at the beginning of a fight. But you don't always want to jump on them, because that'll make your feet hurt. So sometimes you gotta hit them with a hammer, which actually stuns them instead of doing damage, but it's great. It allows you a turn if the enemy's really fast. Or an enemy touches whatever brother is behind, causing them to fall, which will make them unable to dodge, or even attack depending on the speed of the enemy, until their turn happens. I've noticed this happens mostly when you try to jump on an enemy's head but overshoot it. You got that? Because a lot more is coming. There are two categories of attack in this game, solo and bros. Solo attacks are obviously attacks you do alone, like jumping or hitting with your hammer, and bros attacks are attacks where Mario and Luigi team up to do a lot of damage to one single enemy or a bunch of enemies. Those attacks will cost bro points, this game's idea of basically like FP or mana. But this is where I have to talk about the most important part about this game and what makes me love it so much. this game is what I would refer to as an active RPG. This isn't a game where you just press a button to do an attack and wait for the other turn to happen. That's not what this game is. This game is all about timing. If you just do a regular jump and not anything else, you'll fall over and do very little damage. But if you hit whatever brother's corresponding jump button right before hitting the enemy, you'll do massive damage. The same thing goes for hammers, though the hammers are a little bit more pathetic when you mess up. But when you hit it at just the right time, you'll give that enemy a heck of a wallop. And bro's attacks work the exact same way, except you have to hit a series of buttons. And that perfectly leads me into the next thing, which is the most important part about this game: dodging and counterattacks. Dodging can take many forms in this game, but most of the time you have to jump to avoid something. The reason why can be very different depending on the enemy. This one, where both Mario Bros have to jump over like a swinging object, I can't get the hang of. I mess it up all the time. But if you jump at just the right time with just the right enemy, you can do a counterattack. The other kind of counterattack is done with a hammer. These ones are a bit harder to time. And there's a level up system in this game. Let's talk about that for a second. When it comes to RPGs, this is a pretty normal level up system, but what I love about it is this little bonus thing on the side. This thing's so fun. Every time you level up, you'll get this little bonus that you can attribute to any stat you want, and have a little roll from usually 1 to 3 that could end up giving you extra points in that category. I usually just bump up that damage. All of these aspects come together to make one of the most engaging RPG experiences ever. This shit's amazing. I love this. I usually don't care for RPGs because I think they're slow and boring, but this game is action-packed. Every moment you gotta be paying attention because these battles are intense and engaging. So if that sounds fun to you, go and play this game. You won't regret it. And just look at that pixel art, dude. It looks so good. Mario & Luigi Partners in Time is like the Avengers Endgame of this series. It doesn't really conclude anything, but it does include very confusing time travel. So this story starts out with a planet long, long ago on a planet far, far away. Let's just say this planet's creepy. They say it like 8 times. It's almost kind of like derogatory how many times they call this planet creepy. But this creepy planet is home to some creepy aliens. And they are looking for a new home, even though they have a planet already. And they just happen to see Princess Peach's castle from space. They see the top of her castle from space. Princess Peach's castle must be huge. And it just so happens at the exact same time, Baby Mario and Baby Luigi are about to meet up with Baby Peach for their government-mandated playdate. But all is not as it seems. And they come across a sight that feels a little familiar. Prince Bowser is trying to kidnap Baby Peach. He also burns off an old man's face. Pretty brutal. A scuffle ensues between Baby Mario and Baby Bowser, in which Bowser has a stroke. Again, this is like an ongoing medical problem he has. And again, it leaves him on the floor. He also says the exact same thing, so maybe it's like a nervous tick whenever he loses a battle. But that ain't even the worst of it, because the aliens start attacking the castle. And there's a lot of them. And then we jump ahead to the present, where Professor Egad has invented a time machine. And everyone is so ding-dang excited that Princess Peach gets into it, which seems like a security oversight. But that's okay though. Professor Egad said there's a 99.999999999% chance she'll return. Still feel like the Mushroom Kingdom's Secret Service wouldn't take that risk, but whatever. But surprisingly, she doesn't come back. Totally didn't see that one coming. The time machine comes back, but she ain't in it. Friggin' aliens in there. And then Mario murders them. So Egad whips out his DS. He even says he name drops DS. Apparently his DS has a time radar. Whatever that is. The random toad who's standing over here even calls him out. He's like, bro, you just made that shit up. But Peach is stuck in the past, and the time machine's broken. What are they gonna do? Luckily, a time hole opens in the courtyard of the castle. And of course Luigi has to inspect it further. But then he gets like knocked into it by the old like advisor toad, and it just seems like he did it on purpose. Assassination attempt aside though, Mario's gotta jump in to go get his bro. And then he falls through this trippy ass wormhole that I just love how this looks. It's like Mario's going back to the 60s. And when they get into the past, their suitcase comes through the hole too, but it's also like it's an alive suitcase, and I'm gonna be straight up, I hate this frickin' guy. He's so annoying. Just endless unskippable tutorials. But he serves the exact same purpose as the suitcase from Superstar Saga, so meh. He just annoyingly gabs all the time. He also somehow can walk inside of himself. That's confusing. And then, to put salt in the wound even more, they get stuck in the past. And Mario doesn't seem to grasp the reality of this, but Luigi does, and he's freaking terrified, like he totally should be. So he has a breakdown. While we're in this area of the game, I want to talk about something. The music in this game is amazing. Take Holly Jolly Village's theme. This shit's eerie as fuck. It was one of the things I remembered most from when I was a kid about this game. And when you're hearing this, you're just walking around a dead village. There's no people in sight, just destruction. It's some great atmosphere. And then Santa gets abducted by aliens. And then Mario and Luigi get hit by an orbital strike. Very slowly. They could have just gotten out of the way, but they didn't. Well, what are the babies doing during all of this? Well, they're in a high-stakes airship battle that could result in all of their deaths due to plane crash. And they just happen to run into Mario and Luigi, the old versions. It's kind of contrived, but whatever. So they save them and bring them back on the ship. And then there's like a really brutal flashback where we see that probably all the Toads who live at Peach's castle are dead. They get shot the hell up with lasers. And then the aliens do a little bit of remodeling on the castle, and it now looks like this, which is pretty cool looking, gotta admit. But then they have like a Star Trek view screen conversation with the princess, who looks a little familiar, by the way. But, then they get shot out of the sky. All this is fine, but there's only one real big problem. Why doesn't grown-up Mario remember this happening? It doesn't make any sense, because if it happened in the past, then Mario should know when this is gonna happen in the future and how to stop it. They never really address it. Okay, now let's talk about the combat. A lot of the same ideas are carried over from Superstar Saga to this game. They've just become more complex, which isn't necessarily always a good thing. Now you got 4 people to deal with. Sometimes that's cool when you can do like a double jump attack, and other times it's when you kick that shell around and you can't keep your buttons straight. So let's really start there as the new things. Bros attacks have been replaced with items, which I actually really don't like. The bro point system in Superstar Saga kept you from spamming really powerful moves. But now the only limit for how many moves you can do is the amount of money you got, because you'll just buy the items at the shop. Okay, combo attacks. I already talked about the double jump, but what about the other ones? We got a combo hammer attack, which I have a really hard time getting the hang of, but maybe I'm just stupid. And then we got the combo item attacks, which also make me feel stupid. Some of the button combinations to pull off these attacks are just plain difficult to do. And that's not necessarily a problem. It takes a lot to learn them, but it's definitely an entry barrier for people who, might not be the best at timing. The dodging and counterattack system is basically the exact same from Superstar Saga, so one of the only differences, though, is when your big guy dies, then the baby has to come in and fight. Which I don't feel like is the most responsible conclusion, but I don't really have much more to say about it than that when it comes to the actual combat encounters, but with the DS's top screen, they're starting to use that for, putting enemies up there and stuff, and it can be kind of confusing sometimes, but it's cool. Oh, and they also, needlessly changed, that spinning slot machine-esque thing you get whenever you level up as a bonus. So now when you just click the button, it stops immediately, which is a lot less fun. I don't know why they changed it. Something I really want to talk about that I didn't talk about for the first game is music. This game's got some bangers. Whether it's the song that's playing right now, Gritzy Desert, that spooky-ass Holly Jolly Village theme, which is just delightfully eerie. Hello Time Travelers, which is the main theme of the game for a very good reason. This thing is a friggin' bop, and it really does make you hype for a time travel-based adventure. Listen Up Now, which just feels so cheery. It's such a good Mario song. It'll get your head banging a little bit. Superstar Saga had some great music too, but it was a lot shorter, there were more loops and stuff. That's why I didn't really go over it. I liked the songs, but there's not as much depth to the songs as there are in this game. Another semi-take, because I'm a bit unsure if it's a joke or not, this game hasn't aged the best in what vernacular it uses. Just read that. It's so, oh god. But it might be a joke, because this section does take place in the past, so it could be a comment on outdated language, but I'm not sure about that. Again, the sprite art looks great in this game. There's some really cool animations, like going through the portal I really like. A sad thing though, after revisiting this game for this video, this game used to be my favorite out of the series. It is now my least favorite. It's number 3 for me in the comparison. It doesn't mean it isn't good. It's just the 3rd best in 3 great games. I can't really put my finger on one specific thing. It's kind of a combination of different things, whether it's the bros item system, which I don't care for, the way overcomplicated button combinations to do an attack that doesn't do much more damage than your base attack. Or maybe it's the fact that the babies cry all the time, and it's like a looped sound. It's literally the worst thing ever. I don't know how someone playtested the game and went, yeah, that's a great sound. That's very nice to the ears. I really like that one. Let's keep it in the game. And starting this game is like a friggin' chore, because you can't skip any of the tutorials. But even given all that, it's still a really good RPG experience, and it is definitely worthy of the Mario and Luigi name. Bowser's Inside Story is the 3rd Mario and Luigi game released. Some people say it's the best game in the entire series, but all I really remembered about it was that Bowser bored people in it. And he does. It is but a normal, ordinary day in Toad Town. Until Toads begin falling ill with a mystery malady. Turns them into this frickin' like a ball. It's a ball disease. It's the Blorbs. It's actually kind of brutal. It's like a disease that you would see in like a Japanese horror manga. And a cure is unknown. And the disease is spreading. So Peach forms a Blorbid-19 task force. And shit's getting heated. This is also the saddest shit ever, by the way. The fact that he's like, my son has the Blorbs, and then cries. Because he knows his son's gonna die. That's fucking brutal. And Peach is waiting for a special guest that might be able to solve the problem. A star sprite. And so we meet Starro. Oh wait, sorry, I got that wrong. Sorry, I got that wrong. Starlo. I literally didn't remember his name and said the first thing I could think of, and it was almost his. It was basically his name. But the Star Sprite can't even help. He's like, I don't know, dude. Like, it's crazy. I also like this little exchange here. I think it's really funny. The dude basically calls out the doctor, and she's like, "What the fuck do you want me to do? Like, I'm working on it." I like scenes like this because it shows that the Toads aren't like a hive mind. A lot of the time in Mario, Toads just feel like they're just completely interchangeable. They could all be the same Toad. But for some reason, they're like waiting for the Mario brothers to show up, like they're gonna have any expertise on the matter. I guess Mario is a practicing doctor, so maybe he could do something. I also like how Luigi ran out the house without his pants on. That's funny. And then Luigi does like the most relatable thing ever and just falls asleep during the meeting. But it turns out the cause of Blorbs might be a laced mushroom. So Mario's gotta beat up the local drug dealer. Also, they say that they bought the Blorbed mushroom, like that the Blorbed mushroom was the name of the mushroom, and now they're surprised that they became Blorbed. But then Bowser shows up and he's like, blah, 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 you know, like he does the classic Bowser thing. And Bowser kind of makes a good point. He's like, there's a mysterious illness going around the Mushroom Kingdom. I am also a ruler in this domain. Like, I'm literally King Bowser. You should probably invite me to the meeting about the public health emergency. But then, like, Starbo gets all white knighty, and he's like, you have no right to be here.
Get the fuck away from her. Get the fuck away from her.
And that pisses Bowser off. And I get it, because Bowser's being pretty reasonable right now. So Mario and Bowser fight, you know, like usual. He doesn't have a stroke this time, though. He just falls to the ground. And, Peach has telekinesis now? I don't remember where she got this power. It wasn't in any other games. If she has this power, she should never be able to be kidnapped. And then she makes Mario all hot and bothered. You could say she got his one-up. I don't know about Peach, dude. She must have crazy strength. He was able to throw Bowser all the way into the forest. So Bowser's all pissed off that he got totally trounced on by Mario. So when Bowser's offered a male enhancement shroom, he hops right on it. He's gonna eat that shit right away. And even Kamek is like, don't eat that mushroom, dude. Like, do you really think it's a good idea to eat shrooms from a hooded figure who said you won a contest you never entered? That's like all the red flags. But Bowser isn't even listening anymore. He's way too wrapped up in the claims that he'll have 2 times the amount of testosterone that he usually does. But not very surprisingly, this is like it's laced shrooms. And Bowser's going into cardiac arrest. Not very surprising. And it turns out that the mysterious drug dealer is nobody else but it's Bingo. It's Bingo from the first game. He's back and he's pissed. And he talks like Doge for some reason. And then Bowser starts voring the world. He sucks Mario, he sucks Peach, he definitely sucks Luigi. Sucks them all right up. Luigi didn't even know what was going on, he was too busy sleeping. And then Mario tumbles through Bowser's insides in a scene that I can only imagine people who love vor say is orgasmic. And Mario wakes in some organ. I don't know what this is, but granted I wouldn't know Bowser's physiology, I guess, so I guess he could have this organ, but this looks weird. Maybe he's in his blood vessels or something. There's like a whole world living in Bowser's body, dude. It's crazy. Freaking hemoglobin. I love this dude. So Mario rescues Starbow, and then he helps Luigi get his head out of a... I don't even know what that is. I feel like he should be dead. There doesn't look like there's air in there. And then Bowser fights Morbius. Exactly how I remember him looking in the movie. Bowser clocks the fuck out of Morbius, and then vows revenge on Bingo for messing up his dank-ass castle. Many perished in the following siege. So Mario, Luigi, Starbow, and Bowser have to all team up to fight Bingo. And they're gonna go and get it. They're gonna go to Bowser's castle and they're gonna do it. Remember when this game was about a mysterious illness? What happened to that? Now let's get to the combat, my gamers. This is the peak Mario and Luigi. If you climbed up a mountain, you know what you'd find? Dead hikers. But also probably Mario and Luigi Bowser's Inside Story. Everything is back and everything is better. This game feels like the first two games merged together and became like, it's Ultra Instinct. They put on the merge earrings and they became Bowser Inside Story. Bros attacks are back. You can double jump and you don't even need a baby this time. You can do a hammer, but when you do the hammer just right, it plays this really cool animation that makes you feel like a freaking badass. The real big new thing that this game offers is the Bowser combat. This shit is fun. And because Mario and Luigi are inside of him, it's almost like a mech. Mario and Luigi are just like chilling inside of a mech while he's fighting. And they portray this very well using the top and bottom screens of the DS. Bowser's only got a few real attacks. Nothing like the variation that Mario and Luigi have, but at the same time his more simple attacks do way more damage, which actually contributes to him feeling bigger, more strong. It actually helps the feeling of the game a lot. You got a basic, really hard punch, you got your fire breath, you got vacuum breath, which is a result of the vacuum shroom he ate in the beginning of the game. He can, like, suck now. And sucking up enemies can get you certain bonuses, you know, like defense up, or allow you to gain back some health during the fight without having to use an item. So it is a very useful thing to do. But the coolest thing you can do with the vacuum shroom is when you suck up an enemy and have Mario and Luigi fight them inside of Bowser. It really just shifts up the dynamics of a fight and makes it feel very multi-dimensional, you know, it feels very alive. The fight is always moving and changing. They didn't bring back the slot machine-esque wheel for bonus levels when you level up, but the screen when you're leveling up looks so cool, I almost don't care. It really just feels like everyone on the dev team was at like the top of their game while making this. The enemies choreographed their attacks better. Like, just look at that tiny little eye movement. You know he's going after Luigi. But if you're not paying attention, you're not gonna see it coming and you're gonna get got. And these battles get intense, man. It's hard to stay super focused. The dodging and the counterattack system have become way more responsive as well. But somehow, it still hasn't become super easy. It's almost just like the challenge has increased, but it's a fair challenge. But that's Mario and Luigi. What is Bowser's counterattack system like? Bowser don't dodge. He only punches or blocks. He is a solid wall of defense and power, which makes him feel completely different from the agile gameplay of Mario and Luigi, creating two really unique feeling different kinds of combat in one game. It just feels really nice. If you were in a position where you could only play one of these games, say you don't have the time or you don't have the money to invest in all three of them, I would pick this one overall. If you only are going to play one of these games, I would suggest playing Bowser's Inside Story. It's got the most bang for your buck. You can pick up the original DS version or the remake on the 3DS, but I'll be completely honest with you, I really don't like how the remake on the 3DS looks. I think it's really lacking a lot of the visual charm that the original Mario and Luigi games on the DS and the Game Boy have so much of. Mario and Luigi Dream Team. Mario and Luigi Paper Jam. I never played them, and I really don't care to play them. I just don't like how they look. Now this is just going to be a little thing at the end of the video where I list what I think every game does the best. Superstar Saga is hands down the best story of all three of them, and the characters are really charming too, so story and character, gotta go with Superstar Saga. Partners in Time, I gotta give it to the music and the atmosphere. These things got bangers, and everything just feels real nice. Bowser's Inside Story, I gotta give it the best gameplay. Out of these three, it just is. Everything feels better, it's great. Everything functions amazingly, and it's just good. But I'm telling you, if you choose to play any of these games, you ain't gonna regret it. You'll have a great time. Hey, you. Yes, you. Subscribe. If you're a cool frickin' gamer who likes cool frickin' gaming, you'll hit that subscribe button right there. There's gonna be way more cool shit coming out, and I hope you will join me for the ride.